Hi, I'm Judy. Welcome to Coffee, Cookies, and Books. I am re-recording this intro. I actually forgot to do it on the full video. So when you see me on the other side, I'm going to be wearing something completely different, and I think the lighting's going to look a little bit different. But what we're here to do today is more talk about my TBR to the end of the year, and keep your fingers crossed that I can actually read it all. Look forward to talking to you about it, and I'll see you on the other side. Hey everyone, I'm going to do my second video, and my second video is going to be the books that I'm hoping to get done by the end of the year. You know, fingers crossed. A lot of it's going to have to do with how much time I have. I'm in the middle of finishing up sort of a final huge edit on my second book in my series, and then it's going to the editors. So I'm hoping to get that done by the end of next week, and then it'll be out of my hands, and I'll have definitely have more time to read, probably until the end of the year. I am going away at Christmas, planning to take some books with me when I go. I'm going to my dad's, so I drive there. I can take quite a few. Now, I will say one of them I've read already, and I'm going to kind of just give you a rundown of the review I gave it. It was Haunting Adeline. This, of course, is the second book in the Cat and Mouse duet. The first book, I gave it 3 stars. I liked it. You know, it was enjoyable in certain parts, and then in certain parts it was just really weird. But I did really like it, and I did really like the characters. So I decided to continue on with the second book. And honestly, my feeling didn't change very much from book 1 to book 2. And book 2, of course, is not the same. I mean, you know, you have the same characters, but it just didn't feel the same. The story didn't center around him stalking her, which was what the first book was about. I'm going to read my review. It's not super spoilery or anything like that, because I don't want to give away much about it, but I thought that I would just give you what I had to say. So I said, as with the first book, I enjoyed the read, but it was nothing earth-shattering. Would I read more of her books? Absolutely. I liked both, and to me, a 3-star rating is still above average. It just means there were things I liked and didn't like about the book. So that's basically how I look at a 3. 4s and 5s are books that I enjoyed a lot. So that's kind of how I put together my thoughts on the book. Said it was a very different story from the first one until the 2 of them started having sex again, and then it was typical of their sessions in the first book. A little tedious once you've read both books, so I admit I skimmed those sections. I did find the first bit of the book, which was probably about 25%, when Adeline was captive, that it was pretty brutal. And interestingly, I found the chapters in Zaid's point of view were better and more interesting to me in Hunting Adeline than in the first book, where I preferred her points of view. So, you know, it was kind of weird that way. I'd say check your trigger warnings on this one, but if you like them dark and brutal and lots of sex, it's a worthwhile read for the series. So that was what I had to say about that book. So then next one, which is the next one I'm going to read in the batch, which I'm actually really looking forward to, is Lucy Foley, The Midnight Feast. Now, it's a pretty simple back. There's not a lot of detail on the back, but it says, welcome to the opening weekend of the manor, the luxury resort built on top of an old secrets in an ancient forest. The founder, the husband, the mystery guest, the kitchen help. Everyone has an agenda. Everyone has a past, but not everyone will survive the midnight feast. Sounds amazing. It's not a hard read. I think it's only like 300 pages, in around that, and nice. I love this book. This is like so awesome. I think I got it at Walmart. I love this one. Anyway, so this is next up that I'm going to read. Really looking forward to that. The next one on the list is Kathy Reichs, Break No Bones. This is number 9 in her series of books. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how many books. Hold on a second. I'm just going to do this. Exactly how many books that she has written in total. It's over 20 for sure. So she has quite a few. And they all follow the character of Tempe Brennan, which is also the character in the Bones TV series. So very similar to that. But this, most of her books I love. A typical score for me is 4 on her books. I think just the last one kind of I wasn't super crazy about, but it was just the subject matter that kind of threw me. Still a 3 and up, always. So this one says, to some the dead are a commodity. For Tempe Brennan, they hold the key to cracking a horrific crime ring. Among the ancient remains in a Native American burial ground, Tempe discovers a fresh skeleton, and what began as an ordinary teaching stint at an archaeological field school in Charleston, South Carolina, fast becomes a heated investigation into an alarming pattern of homicides. The clues hidden in the bones lead to a street clinic where a monstrous discovery awaits, and Tempe, whose personal life is in upheaval with 2 men competing for her, can't afford any distractions as she pieces together a shattering and terrifying puzzle. I don't know. Well, I know one of the guys is Andrew Ryan, which is a police officer. She works regularly. No idea who the second one is. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to find out. They're basically all murder mysteries with investigation, because she's a forensic archaeologist. So, like, super fantastic. Love this book. Forensic anthropologist. I think that's what it is. Anyways, definitely recommend trying her books. Okay. So next we have a series that I've been dying to get into. I really love sci-fi. That's kind of my shtick. You know, my own series is sci-fi space opera based. More romance, but sci-fi space opera based. But this one's always come highly recommended. And I love the subject theme. Now, I'm not going to read all of this because it's like super complicated. But it's I'll just go sort of over the beginnings. So there's 2 guys, Jim Holder, he's a ice miner, and Detective Miller, looking for a girl. There's been murders and all this sort of thing, but it's science fiction based. So humanity has colonized the solar system, Mars, the moon, the asteroid belt, and beyond, but the stars are still out of our reach. Holden and Miller must thread the needle between the Earth government, the outer planet revolutionaries, and secretive corporations, and the odds are against them. But out in the belt, the rules are different, and one small ship can change the fate of the universe. Sounds fantastic. So that one's definitely, I wanted to get that one done for sure before the end of the year, because it's a fairly lengthy series with a lot of books, and this is the first. So if I really like this one, then I will definitely read more in the series. Okay, so that's that one. I'll move those out of the way because you don't need to do that. So then, next one up is Chasing Daylight by Britney Sahin. This is book 7 in the Stealth Ops series, and I love this series. This series, in conjunction with her other series, which I think I've mentioned before, which is the Falcon Falls series, kind of do tie together in that the characters appear throughout. But this one is one of the characters that is the brother of one of the girls from Falcon Falls. So they do all tend to tie together. After 8 years of completing missions around the world, A.J. Hawkins is ready for more. He's ready for love, the one person in his sights, a gorgeous redhead, a woman who isn't interested in a commitment after recently going through a divorce, and the last thing A.J. wants to be is a rebound. After officially ending her marriage, Anastasia Quinn, accepted a career advancing position to be part of the FBI's counterintelligence division, but only a few months into the job, and the unit's most valuable sources begin disappearing. When the FBI determines there must be a leak, the president dispatches help from the outside the bureau. Anastasia never expected AJ, the sexy Navy SEAL with the Southern swagger and an amazing sense of humor, to be one of the men brought in for help. Working so close with AJ will make it next to impossible to deny their explosive chemistry, but the last thing on her mind should be whether or not she's capable of love again, especially not when she finds herself in the center of the investigation as a suspect. AJ will do whatever it takes to clear Anastasia's name and keep her safe, even if that means going on the run. Okay, this sounds really good. Britney writes suspense romances. They're all suspense romances. Now, the majority of the men are previously military, and then they come out of the military and they work in the private sector. This is a group, stealth ops are a group of guys that are Navy SEALs that actually work for the president, but they don't officially. So it's every book is great, like huge page turners. I cannot recommend her as an author enough. I think she's fantastic. Okay, next on the list is The Naturals. Now, the only thing that I've ever heard about this is that it is has a bit of a Criminal Minds kind of feel to it, but it does deal with younger people. So you're talking teenagers. I have no problem with that. I don't read a lot of YA. That's not really my thing, but I don't have a problem with teenagers being the base of something that's more adults, so to speak. Kind of like Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games. She's still a teenager, but what she's doing is scary for someone her age, right? Okay, so 17-year-old Cassie Hobbs is a natural at reading people, piecing together the tiniest details she can, tell you who you are and what you want. But it's not a skill that she's ever taken seriously. That is until the FBI comes knocking. They've begun a classified program that uses exceptional teenagers to crack infamous cold cases, and they need Cassie. What Cassie doesn't realize is that there is more at risk than a few unsolved homicides, especially when she's sent to live with a group of teens whose gifts are as unusual as her own. Soon it becomes clear that no one in the Naturals program is what they seem, and when a new killer strikes, danger looms close. Caught in a lethal game of cat and mouse with the killer, the Naturals are going to have to use all their gifts just to survive. So I actually have the whole series. I bought it sort of in a bulk purchase, and I'm dying to read it. Honestly, I think it sounds great, and it's again pretty easy read. I think it's like maybe 300 pages. I think, is it? Yeah, just 300 pages. So that one I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to before the end of the year, even if maybe I swap a few out and just make sure that one gets in. Okay, next up is The Witcher, The Last Wish. I have been dying to start this series. I have the first 3 books in the series, and I love the concept of The Witcher. And from what I understand, the Last Wish just kind of follows Geralt on his journeys fighting monsters and all that sort of thing. So it says Geralt is a witcher, a man whose magical powers enhanced by long training and mysterious elixir have made him a brilliant and merciless fighter, yet he is no ordinary hunter. His sole purpose is to destroy monsters that plague the world. But not everything monstrous looking is evil, and not everything fair is good. And in every fairy tale, there's a grain of truth. So, it sounds great. I've never played the Witcher games. I'm not really a gamer, never have been. But I did watch the TV series, only the first season. I was not a fan of how the second season started, and I just didn't watch it, and I have not watched anything else past that. So but the books I would love to read. So that's on my list. Okay. Then we have Long Live Evil by Sarah Rice Brennan. I read the back of this, and like as soon as I read it, I knew it was for me. I liked the idea that it didn't have a typical fantasy feel to it. She basically wakes up and she's the villain. I mean, come on, it's got to be good. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll give it a try. It's not, again, it's like a 400-page book, not too bad. And just the entire concept really grabbed me. So we'll give it a try. I've never read anything from this author before, but always a first time for something really great, right? Okay. Then another science fiction one that I've been really wanting to get to is Wool by Hugh Howey. It's the Silo series, book 1. I believe it was on Apple TV. Never watched that. I actually don't really, I wouldn't say that I watch a lot of science fiction series. I was a huge fan of Star Trek Voyager. That was really one that I loved a lot. And I did watch Battlestar Galactica when it was on, but the original way, way, way back, which ages me a little bit. So I do love science fiction, but I actually prefer to read science fiction. So this book just sounded like it had a great concept. So I'm going to give it a try. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. The first book in the acclaimed best-selling trilogy of the Silo series, Wool, is a story of mankind clawing for survival. The world outside has grown toxic. The view of it limited, talk of it forbidden. The remnants of humanity live underground in a single silo, but there are always those who hope, who dream. There are the dangerous people, the residents who infect others with their optimism. Their punishment is simple. They are given the very thing they want. They are allowed to go outside. After the previous sheriff leaves the silo in a terrifying ritual, Juliet, a mechanic from deep down, is suddenly and inexplicably promoted to the head of law enforcement. With newfound power and little regard for the customs she's supposed to abide, Juliet uncovers hints of a sinister conspiracy. Tugging this thread may uncover the truth, or it could kill every last human alive. Honestly, what more can you say? Sounds fantastic, right? Definitely going to read this one. Okay. Oh, and coffee. This is my coffee. No cookies today, just coffee. So good. Okay. Then we have another one from Britney Sahin, Not Mine to Keep. This is the Costa family series. This is the second one. Now, I did read the ARC copy of this, and it was not a completed ARC. It was, I don't think it was fully edited for some reason. But one thing I find is I don't do audio on anything because I don't like it. I don't find that when I'm listening, I can absorb anything. It just doesn't work for me. But I do read ebooks. What I find with ebooks is that I tend to miss things sometimes. And when I'm reading it in a book form, I read it. So I tend to prefer the book. And I loved this story so much. This is the name DiMaggio means mafia royalty, but Calliope, the Destiny's last living heir, is a teacher and singer in Nashville. Oh, right. She's moved as far away from the generations old criminal legacy as she can, but she still can't escape her dying father's wicked reach or his plans for her arranged marriage to carry on the family name. Playboy Alessandro Costa has a different plan. Marry her himself. So it's a marriage of convenience, which is really great. temporarily. It'll give him a chance to take down the DiMaggio patriarch and his empire, settle an old debt, and save Calliope from a catastrophic fate. But when the attraction between them sizzles, business becomes pleasure and a marriage game becomes the real thing. It only raises the stakes and the danger because now they are living in the shadow of violent men who will do whatever it takes to destroy them with their love and their lives on the line. Calliope and Alessandro are ready to fight fire with fire. So technically it is, the Costa family is kind of mixed with the mafia a little bit, but not in a heavier form. This one was more heavily mafia than book one. You know, book one, it just touched on it. Book one dealt more with their sister's death because their sister's death preceded the series, and it did impact book one heavily. This one, it's about you know, making deals, mafia deals, all sort of thing, and of course marriage of convenience between the two of them, which was it was really great. And the thing with Britney, I do find, is that she's not one of these people, like her books do have sex in them, most definitely, but they're not, even though it's marriage of convenience, they kind of just met. There isn't immediate sex. You know, there's the immediate attraction and there's the talk of it between the two, or, you know, from their, because it's from both points of view, but there's never immediately they jump into bed together. That usually doesn't happen. So, you know, I like those bit of a slow burn, the build up to it, and that kind of thing. I just find that more entertaining than, you know, we met and we jumped into bed together, unless it was part of the story from the beginning, you know. So that's that one. Okay, almost done. Only 4 more of these to go, and then we're going to go to a few that I have on my Kindle, and I'll explain how I read with my Kindle. Okay, so then we have another science fiction one that I've been dying to get to, Empire of Silence. This is a series that I see recommended all over the place. In all honesty, when I hear the recommendations and people talk about the story, I do find it a little confusing. But what I find interesting is that it starts with the things that he did wrong, but it goes back to the beginning of how he got to that spot and how he became both feared and revered, I guess, in his thing. So I'm really looking forward to it. It sounds like an interesting read. You know, I only have the first book. I have not purchased anything else in the series. We'll see how this one goes. If it goes okay, then, you know, I'll think about getting the rest of the books in the series. But for now, so we're going to give this one a try. I'm hoping to get through it. It is like 550 pages, so not a small book. It's healthy, as are some of the other ones that are on the rest of this list, which are 3 fantasy books. So they're up next. All right. The Ballad of Never After. I'm going to read it. I didn't care for the first book. I did read it. I don't remember a friggin' thing. I'm sure once I get into this one, I'll remember, you know, some of the details from the first book, particularly the characters, the 2 characters. But I just found it kind of okay, you know, nothing earth-shattering or special, but everyone said second book's better. And I'm like, okay, let's give it a try. So we're going to give this a try. I mean, I will say that I found first book was a super easy read. And this one, like, the text is huge inside this one. So we'll see. So I assume it's not going to be super crazy hard. It's a 400-page book with huge text. So we'll see how it goes on that one. Well, time for coffee break. Yum. Okay. Then we have Glow of the Everflame. So I just finished the first one, Spark of the Everflame, and I liked it. It sat around a 3.75 for me, not quite a 4, but believe me, that's like, I liked it. I just found certain parts of the first book kind of, something would happen, then it would kind of die. Something would happen, then it kind of died. Something would happen, kind of die. Liked the ending a lot. So I'm looking forward to getting into this one. And this is another one, like, I mean, it's long, you know, it has like 600 pages, but it's fairly large text. So I think it'll go fairly fast. This one says, well, I'm not going to say because I'm not going to read it. I don't want to give anything away because it's going to follow anybody who hasn't read the first one. You know, it's about Diem, and they are in a society where there is an elite group of people called the Descendant, and she is, of course, not elite. So, yeah, I don't want to say anymore because it's going to give it away. I don't want to give it away, but we're going to give this one a try. I've heard this one is, again, somebody said it's better, that the next two are, that the story grows and it's fantastic, the continuation. And, you know, like I said, I did like the first book and gave it a 3.75. So definitely looking forward to this one. That's kind of like one that I really want to finish. And then the other one is Sarah J. Maas. So this is House of Sky and Breath. This is the second book in the Crescent City series. I read the first book. I actually really liked it, which kind of surprised me a little because I didn't expect that after the first few hundred pages. But the more I got into the book, the more I liked it. And by the time I got to like page 300-400, I was like in there reading, loved it. So, and the ending blew me away. Yeah, it was great. I loved the ending. So I'm really, really looking forward to going into this one, the second book in the series. And of course, like, these friggin' things are so long. 800 pages. 800 pages. I was like, I'm writing my second book in my series, and it's potentially looking like it's going to be 500 to 550 pages, somewhere around there. And I'm like sitting here thinking, oh, it's going to be too long. Because to me, 800 pages is insane. And frankly, one of my complaints about the first book was it could have been shorter. There was a lot of stuff that was in there that didn't need to be in there, and it could have been shorter. But anyway, I did enjoy it. So this is next. Next on the list. Okay. So that's it for the books that I'm going to read. So next I'm just going to go over the ones that I've got on my Kindle. Now, I do have a lot of books that I buy on my Kindle. So these ones, I believe 1, 2, 3, let me take a look. All of them except for one. Is that? No, 2. 2 of them are Kindle Unlimited. 3 of them are, I've purchased them. Now, I will, as much as possible, purchase on sale, if they're on sale. And one or two of them I've definitely done it with, but we'll go over them. So the first one is series. There's actually 2 that are by the same author that are part of the same series that she's written. The author, Susan Stoker, and she's another one who writes books that are kind of similar to Britney Sahin. They're kind of like suspense, protector, that kind of idea. So the first one is called The Protector, and it's the book 1 in the Game of Chance series. So it says Riggs Chappie Chapman didn't expect to be disrupted at his remote cabin in the woods, but when a stray dog arrives on his porch, he winds up finding a stray woman too. trudging through the snowstorm in search of shelter. His military days may be behind him, but Chappie is hardwired to protect her from the storm and whatever else she's running from. Carlise Edwards didn't expect her car to break down in the Maine wilderness. All she wants is to escape whoever is stalking her back home. There is no way anyone's going to find her, and Chappie, deep in the forest, especially not in dangerous weather, but she finds it's hard to mind the circumstances when the company is this stimulating. As the snowstorm rages, Chappie and Carlise find that, despite the cold, they can generate plenty of heat of their own, but there's more, there's my computer, but there's more than just natural dangers lurking in the woods. So I'm already about, I think, 50-60% through this one. This one is kind of an insta-love one, and that's not really, I mean, I don't hate it, but it has to be really well written. And so far, this has been fun. I mean, I'm 50% through, and they haven't had sex. So I'm okay with that because it's just, there's an instant attraction, but they're not going past maybe a kiss, which I think is relevant. So that's how this one's going. The next one is also by Susan Stoker, and it's the next one in the series, and it's called The Royal. Now, these guys that are in this series, without giving too much away, were all a special forces team that had been captured and tortured. And when they got out of that, when they were rescued, they had decided that they were not going to continue in the military. So they left the military and they went randomly to someplace in Maine and became tree huggers. Basically, they have a business that has to do with trees and all that stuff like that. So, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but basically they're military guys, and but they're not doing any kind of protection services or anything of that nature. They're just guys hanging out in the trees on the Appalachian Trail. Fun. Okay, so The Royal is the second book in the series, and it says, in this modern Cinderella story, Susan Stoker weaves a tale of step-families, stalkers, and a suspenseful, sweeping romance that proves true love can conquer all. Isn't that sweet? I like that. Former military man and member of a royal family, Callum Redmond, it's Redmond, I think, can't deny his sense of responsibility. So when his cousin's latest love interest claims to have a stalker, Cal reluctantly meets with the young woman and her mother. He wants to write off the situation as a complete farce, if only his feelings for another member of the household could be as easily dismissed. Since her father's death 17 years ago, Juniper Rose, weird name, Juniper Rose has been at the cruel beck and call of her stepmother and stepsister. Her fantasies of escape mean leaving behind her father's beloved home. But enough is enough. When Cal offers her a way out, sooner rather than later, June takes the lead. Cal's home in Maine with his military brothers seems like the safest place to start fresh. But as Cal and June's fairy tale romance blossoms into something real, they find that the dangers stalking them may have been real all along. I'll read it. Susan does great suspense stuff like that, and her books are not long. Like this one says 330 pages. Super easy to read. So, I'll enjoy it, I'm sure. I usually do. I would say that on average with Susan's books, they're minimum of 3, and then the odd one will be a 4 and a 5. But I'm fine with the 3. Sometimes you just need a book that just, you read fast, it was a good romance, and it's done. And that's what I find with Susan's books. I like that. Okay, so then the next one is The Inside Man, which is by Britney Sahin. Now, this is part of the Dublin Nights series, which I've been reading, and it is book 4. Well, technically it's book 3, but there's a novella that came in between books 1 and 2. So I read 1, read the novella, read book 2. This is book 3, and it's a continuation. And this is when Cole McGregor entered my life, my whole world changed. My new neighbor was older, gorgeous, and the Irish accent had me swooning. And no matter what, he was always there for me, but only as a friend. The day I walked out of his life without a trace, I'd left not as a young girl with a crush, but as a woman in love. I regretted my decision to leave Cole behind, but I never doubted the reason for my choice. The chance to find my brother, even if I also found myself caught in a shadowy world of danger. Now, years later, my path has crossed Cole's again, and this time in his home of Dublin. I've been through so much since I left New York, and I'm not prepared to share my secrets with anyone, not my brother, and especially not Cole. With Cole stepping into an influential role in the city, one that comes with significant risk as he tries to take down the corrupt from the inside, I'm not sure if I'll ever earn redemption or another chance at love. And with each passing moment, I know one thing for certain. The truth always comes out, and once it does, there'll be no turning back. So this is a billionaire Irish McGregor family returns in this hot friends to lovers romantic suspense. So it is friends to lovers, kind of, I would think maybe a bit of a second chance kind of romance. Always lots of suspense in Britney's books, and this one, he is not military. He has no military background or anything like that. He's just a regular guy, a McGregor, which is what the whole family, the whole series, Dublin Nights, is about the members of the McGregor family. So it's fantastic. Highly recommend. I've enjoyed the whole series so far. I think the last book I gave a 5 was fantastic. Okay, then the next one was one I got on sale from BookBub. I think it was like $1.99 for the Kindle edition. Fantastic. I've seen it recommended. It's called The X-Hex, and it's a witchy paranormal romance, a spellbinding twist, perfect for fall 2024, get ready to be charmed. So it sounds like one of those cozy type paranormal romance type books, and I'm in for anything like that. I've never read anything from Aaron Sterling, who's the author, but I can honestly say this sounds fun. So I'm going to definitely read this one. I'm going to try to fit this one in. Now, typically with my Kindle, I read my Kindle typically in the morning for a little bit. I will read my Kindle when I'm out and about because I read it on my phone. So I do get through the Kindle books, but I get through them a little bit slower usually. So this one is on my list. That's how come my Kindle list is not very long. I only have 5 books. There's this one, and there's one more, and then that's it. And then those will fit in somewhere in this huge pile, right? Okay. And then last but not least is one that I've seen recommended, which is a very dark romance. I was reading through this. It's called Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue, and I was reading the thing, but what caught my attention is the content note at the bottom. So it says, this book contains sexual scenes, kink, fetish content, horror elements, drug use, and depictions of hard kink, edge play. Please see the book preview for complete CW. Must have a lot of content warnings, okay? Because this is kind of crazy. But I have no problem with that. There's actually very little that bothers me if the book's good. So I'm going to give this one a try because I have heard a lot of great things about it as a dark romance, and it's part of the Souls trilogy. So if I like it, I will continue on for sure. But okay, so that's it for my TBR. I think what I am going to do in my next video is probably talk about maybe my Kindle Unlimited, what I have on that, because I have that full, it's full of books, and I'd love to talk more about that. But I might not get back here probably for a little bit, so we'll see. I've got some, like I got a whole list of topics that I'd love to go through, and as I said, I do not actually read anything through audio, but if you want to know if any of these books have audio, in the listings below, I list whether or not they have audio available, and try to make sure I can provide the links for that. I also will give you the link for my own book. It's a science, as I said, science fiction, space opera, romance. So hope you'll like it. It's 300 pages, so not a hard read, pretty easy to read through. And that's it for me. So I hope you guys have a really great day, and we'll see you soon.